Good afternoon. Happy Savage Saturday. Keepers of the Cash. Gary B., the Casual Comic Guy here. We're here with Savage Saturday, episode 179, and something I hope is a little special for you, because I'm going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is adaptations. Why do we like adaptations? Why do I like adaptations? Because it carries on these great stories, just like a campfire tale, right? They're retold, and they're retold again. Hopefully, they don't change much from the original, and a good adaptation does exactly that. It sticks near and dear to the core elements and the heart of the original tale, while maybe adapting it to a different medium where you get a few more elements added, whether that's visually, audibly, however you consume the medium that it's put into. And one of the best adaptation writers, in my opinion, is and always will be Mr. Roy Thomas. Absolutely phenomenal. He gets a lot of hate from some people I've heard about thinking that he's not such a good writer because he did so many adaptations. But there is an art to the adaptation. And when you read a bad adaptation, an adaptation that doesn't understand what the core elements of the story are, they don't understand what parts to keep, what parts to expand on, what parts to not worry about when they adapt it, it is really obvious and it really falls dead. And so we're going to talk about adaptations today. Roy Thomas just did it brilliantly. Of course, he had some great people working with him. Barry Windsor Smith, John Buscema, Ernie Chan, just some great people. Wonderful talent that helped realize these Robert E. Howard stories into comic book form with Ramblin' Roy's fantastic words, right? But we're here today to talk about another adaptation. Now, one of my favorite adaptations that Roy did, and it was with Barry, was The Frost Giant's Daughter. And actually was the very first book, Conan the Barbarian, number 16, that I had ever got slabbed. That was one of my plunge into getting books slabbed. I love the cover art so much. I love the story so much about Conan's will to survive. And just, it was like a really perfect issue for me. So when it came to starting my slab journey, that was the first. Now we find ourselves here in 2025, and in 2024 we had just completed, and in the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, we completed the Frost Giant's Daughter adaptation by Jim Zub and team. Again, Jim Zub, fantastic writer with a great team around him. And we're going to talk about this adaptation, the latest adaptation of this story from Robert E. Howard. And I have 5 core rules that I think are essential when you're adapting material. Things that make the adaptation work. And so we're going to go over those. I got my note card because I'm over 50 and I don't want to forget anything. So I have notes. But let's start with number 1. Hold on. Excuse me. Number 1. Key moments in the story. Now, this is big for me. In every adaptation, there's stuff obviously that gets trimmed and there's stuff that's kept. You must keep, in my opinion, the key moments in the story. Now, that sounds pretty obvious, right? But it isn't always. When you read an adaptation and they change a key moment that one character did and hand it off to another character, and it takes away from the development of the character it was meant to progress. I've seen that a few times. So one of the things is understanding what the key moments are, why they're important to your core story. And Jim Zub does that really brilliantly in this adaptation. Now, I just got the A covers. I got plenty. So issue 13A. Now, in this, the key elements revolve around Conan, his will to survive, and the different sort of things that he survives as the man he is, and he keeps that intact, but he does more, and we're going to get to that soon. Now, another one of the key elements is the Frost Giant's Daughter, obviously, in the title of the adaptation here, and her key element is a foil to Conan. It's something for him to survive. Now, it's not more than that. And Jim Zub understands this. Now, he fleshes her out a little bit, but he does it in a way that is a force for Conan to be reckoned with. It's nothing gratuitous. It's nothing overtly sexual, as I've seen other adaptations make that error where they focus more on what's going on with her than our main character, Conan the Barbarian, and what this journey is about for him. You got Ymir, the frost giant, which you don't see, the god, and you have his sons and that Conan has to fight, and you have the troop that Conan is reunited with at the end. Now, all of these elements are in there because they feed into different aspects of this tale and what happens with Conan, how he develops throughout the story, and where he is at the end as opposed to the beginning. So those are the key moments in the story, right? You got Conan surviving a battle. You have Conan meeting up with the frost giant's daughter. You have Conan being lured by her and then attacked by her brothers so he can be sacrificed to their father, Ymir. So you got Itali, the brothers, and Ymir. All elements that Conan has to deal with after he's already finished fighting in a war and is the last survivor on that field, walking away near death, freezing. The elements are against him, and he's got to survive this trial. And then he's got to survive the scrutiny of the band that he was with after he meets back up with them. So, key moments, all of those, all are present here. Perfect. Well done. Nailed it. Great job, Jim Zub. Now, number 2, appropriate visuals that complement the story. Now, this is important because you can't just hand adaptations off to an artist that doesn't understand what's going on in the story or doesn't have maybe the experience to convey it. Not even that their art's bad, they just may not have the experience to express the story in the right way. Doug Braithwaite does a great job here, and you guys know I've been putting stuff over here. But the visuals he has of Conan, both as a youth and as a man, the glares, the stares, the reactions of the people around him. There's panels where you look at the visuals and you can feel the cold of the north where Conan is. You can feel the frost in the air. You can feel the cold around him. You can feel the suppressing elements that he's having to deal with. You can see the tiredness in his eyes. You can see the rage in his eyes when it's time. You can see the focus, and you can see the wonderment when he is being just wowed by something he hasn't experienced before. So this world comes alive not only through the art of Doug Braithwaite, and we'll open this up because I want to make sure I get the team's name correct. The colors in this really help convey the cold, and that is Dangerous Diego Rodriguez, the color artist. I just love how they use the old names like that, like Diabolical Doug Braithwaite as the artist, who does a great job. Grim Jim Zub is the writer. And then you had Richard Starkings and Comic Crafts, who do a fantastic job with the lettering as well. This is a complete tale where all this stuff just comes together to form and set you in an environment where you're experiencing this along with Conan and along through the prose of Jim Zub. The visuals complement it. They absorb you and put you into the world, and you're getting a complete experience. Now, number 3, know your source material. Don't force non-core elements into the story, right? Seems basic. Again, it's not. Like I said, the core elements of this, and Jim Zub knows his material here. He's done his research. He's read the stories. He knows what he's supposed to adapt, is Conan refusing to die. Conan surviving no matter the cost. Now, he adds elements to this story which turn it into a 4-issue adaptation, which by any other author would really worry me. But with Jim Zub, I was just anxious to see what he had to offer, and he didn't disappoint me in one bit. Now, he takes this story, and while he's telling the tale of the Frost Giant's daughter, he weaves in a young tale of Conan in there as he's questioning his father and his tribe in the tribes, his tribe's faith in Crom, and his father and his uncle. They're just kind of at their wits' end with Conan because he's questioning everything. Conan only believes in what he can see, touch, feel, smell, taste. He's got to be able to use his senses to believe in it, right? And so he's having a real issue with believing in Crom. Now, this is an element added to this story by Jim Zub, and it's brilliant because it fits Conan. Conan's a wanderer. One of the reasons Conan wanders is he wants to experience new things. He wants to be out in this world, see what's out there, touch it, feel it, taste it, experience it. There's things he's not going to believe until he happens across them. There's things that he doesn't have faith in until that faith is proven. And Jim Zub weaves a tale of a young Conan who's questioning his father and his tribe's faith in a god that he doesn't know exists or not, right? And throughout this tale, when it flashes back, you can see Conan struggle with believing something that he can't see. And it is fantastic. So Jim Zub knows the source material. He took an element that was in this story of Conan battling this god's children, and he turned it into a tale on the side of the main tale that it delved into it a little bit deeper in Conan's youth and helped draw out that belief in Conan when he became the man he is here. And he saw this for the first time himself. Now, number 4, don't stray from the essence of the story, all right? The main essence of this story is Conan's will to survive, surviving against anything that comes across him. And it's a very basic tale. You've heard this on almost all the points about Conan's will to survive, but it's the main driving force of this story. It's who Conan is at his core. Conan does not concede his life freely. He will fight for it till his last blood. He does not lay down. He does not give up. He just strives forward and looks to overcome and survive. That is the key element here. Conan's willpower. All right, and it's on beautiful display. And lastly, changes or additions must feed into the main character's journey. The main essence of the story, don't divert into secondary plot lines that don't advance the protagonist's story. And again, it's kind of all these feed into each other, right? No matter what part of the story you're on, you have to make sure that you're not diverting any attention away from the main character's journey, or else it starts to fall apart. The threads become loose, diversions pop in. Now, Atali's the main character. The only way to add to her is in ways that elevate Conan's will to survive, right? You don't focus overly much on other parts of her or on the brothers, who are just big barriers to Conan. They're there as an obstacle that he must overcome. All right. He has to overcome them for his story to progress, for his journey to go on. And then at the end, when what he's experienced is called into question, he still is clutching in his hands when he is found by his fellow warriors the gossamer threads that were the only piece of clothing that the Frost Giant's daughter was wearing. And before she was saved by her father and screamed out for him to save her, Conan was able to grasp this. And this is an important part of the story as well, right? This lets you know that what you just read wasn't a fever dream of a man that has almost died on the brink of exhaustion and maybe imagined it all. He's got the proof in his hands. He's got this to show the people that he's been fighting alongside, and he's got it to prove to himself that what he just experienced happened. This is a man on the verge of collapse, that against all odds, against the elements, against these brothers, these giants, against this Frost Giant's daughter, Atali, who is a little goddess herself, against Ymir. Conan survived all this, and in his hand, he is clutching the proof. Now, all these elements are here. the additional story that parallels this of Conan as a youth and then again as an adult, as he is questioning his faith in Crom and how his people can believe in something they can't see. It all comes to fruition through these 4 issues, and it actually adds an element that deepens the original story by Robert E. Howard some in this comic book form. Now, the original story will always be my favorite by Robert E. Howard. This is fantastic. Roy Thomas's is fantastic. The Dark Horse adaptation by Kurt Busiek is fantastic. This gets to join those 2 adaptations right up there in the A tier. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is worth your read. It is worth your time. It is an adaptation worthy of this fantastic tale by Robert E. Howard. But that's it. Those are just something I want to go over because I think adaptations are usually passed over as not real writing. And when it's not real writing for an adaptation, it's quite obvious. When it is real writing, like it is with Roy Thomas, like it is here with Jim Zub, like it was with Kurt Busiek, then you know you have something special. Especially when you're not noticing it, right? That's the true craft. Now, these writers, they're so good that sometimes you don't notice the work that they put in because it's just such a flawless telling of the tale. It hits all the elements, it feeds you what you want to be fed, and it leaves you satisfied. But that's it for today, guys. Getting off my soapbox. As with all things, this is just my opinion. Let me know what your opinion is in the comments below. What are some of your favorite comic book adaptations from IPs out there? Let me know. And that's it for today, guys. Until next time, thank you for watching and keep it casual.